the unemployment rate, and you look at the Dow Jones, Dow Jones is going straight down, unemployment is going straight up. It's not even exponentially, it's, infinite. It's going straight up to where, anyways, Wall Street bailout of 2020, this is the greatest political, financial disaster in all of human history. And this is where the American people just gave the financial industry to the government. So we got fascism, we got corporatism now. And, they're buying, it's private capital, right? Just concentrated private wealth. And it's fascism as defined by Mussolini and FDR. Mussolini, the father of fascism, and FDR, the father of Antifa. The Fed is buying $41 billion in assets every motherfucking day. $14 billion in assets. Our central bank, the U.S. government's central bank, not ours, not the people's, but, the corporation bankers, 1% elite plutocratic class. The Federal Reserve System buying up all this assets, but they didn't figure out that they're buying assets, which are things, right, commodities. They forgot that you have to store these assets somewhere. They're buying all this stuff, and they aren't. Donald is suspending all immigration by executive order, so, coronavirus lockdown, that's consistent with his fucking racism, right? I guess we need to build a wall to keep the coronavirus out, right? Keep the people outside of America from coming in, but it's actually America's ground zero, so we would be, building a wall would be protecting the rest of the world from, our coronavirus from getting to them. Donald Trump is also suspending all EPA standards, too, because, just in case it's mostly for the oil and gas industry, but apparently it didn't, suspending EPA standards didn't help the oil and gas industry that much. So poor Exxon, how is Exxon going to sleep tonight? Poor, BP, British Petroleum. How is British Petroleum going to let these oil companies die? Let them go bankrupt. That's capitalism. Why are we going to keep on bailing out this? We're not letting capitalism work. What kind of capitalist are we when we say, well, shit, they're a goddamn, billion-dollar company. We can't let a billion-dollar company go bankrupt. If they mismanaged, there's no demand for the product. There's no reason to keep, propping up these zombie corporations. These Frankenstein, it's over. It's over. If a small business goes out of business, nobody bails them out. Oh, yeah, the SBA loans, but that's actually the hedge fund managers are getting bailed out with the Small Business Administration loans. And maybe we might get, $300 more billion coming up. Everybody loves small businesses, Democrats and Republicans alike. So, yeah, the world's oil prices have crashed. Holy shit. It went below zero. You wouldn't even think that oil would be free. I used to get pissed off that gas was 99 cents. But now you can get a whole barrel of oil for, nothing. In fact, they'll give you $40 to take the barrel of oil off the boats. We're getting so much oil. There's so much oil being produced in America. So much oil is being imported into our country. Johnny Bravo, he says he never thought he'd ever see that. That oil prices, the futures market, whatever the fuck all this shit is, it's going below zero because they have no place to store the oil. It's going to negative $40 a barrel. Negative $40 a barrel. So, yeah, what, gas is 99 cents? Fuck this. I'm going to drive 20 miles away and, save a goddamn, dime. But really, $1, 1 gallon of gasoline and $1, I'll settle for that. But with the way these oil prices are, gas should be fucking free. It should be free. $40 in order, for us to take the barrel of oils. Instead of passing out these stimulus checks, they should just pass out barrels of oil. 42 gallons, just take the whole barrel. Just set the barrel in your yard. The American people can save, the world economy just by letting the oil companies set a barrel of oil in their yards. So, yeah, that's what needs to happen. We just need to distribute. How is that a problem? Too much oil? We got too much oil. Oh, shit. So, Peter Schiff, he says that oil is just like trash now. It's just trash. You pay the trash man to take out your trash. It's just garbage. So there's no place to store any of this new oil coming in. It's just trash. They just want you to take it, from them because they got more imports and more. There's no demand, okay? So really the market is telling the oil industry very clearly to stop producing oil. Stop producing it. There's the great lockdown, coronavirus, nobody's driving. So you're not going to make any money. Quit making all this oil. Quit importing all this oil. So if the oil industry won't listen, they'll just keep producing and keep importing and I guess we'll build storage facilities, right? But for now, oil is fucking worthless. And that means the U.S. dollar is worthless. So more Americans, we need to empty out our swimming pools. We need to find, places to store 42 gallons, of oil. That's how many, per barrel is 42 gallons. So we got to store 42 gallons, I think, right? So, or just take, I would take a barrel of oil. I would take a couple barrel of oils, and I would do it for free. I wouldn't charge the American government shit. $40 a barrel? Okay, I would take that too. So if they want to give me a barrel of oil and they want to give me $40, I'm not complaining. In fact, if you're giving me $40 for barrels of oil, my God, give me 100 barrels. Hey, American government, I will take 100 barrels of oil and then go ahead and give me $4,000 and I'll store it, for you and, or keep it or whatever it is you want me to do, right? You just want me to take it, right? So I'll keep it and, store it, and I'll take $4,000 bucks. Just go ahead. Give me 1,000 barrels, right? We can be like true grit Americans, right? True blue capitalists. This is what the economy is doing. This is what is needed out of the American people. Peter Schiff also says it's not deflation. It's not deflation. This isn't the economy really crashing. This is just the demand for oil for one commodity on the market is going down. So people don't want to buy trinkets no more. People didn't want to buy Twinkies no more. Now Twinkie is just dead and gone. Poor Twinkie. What happened to Twinkie? Nobody, appreciated Twinkie. Now they're gone. Now Twinkies are worth like, probably, I don't know, maybe $20, right? To get a fucking Twinkie now, that would be, it's very valuable now that there's less Continentals. Now Continentals are worth lots of money. So one cause typically given for the 1929 Great Depression is the overproduction of durable goods. Overproduction of durable goods. And so, we don't have to worry about that in America because we don't have any factories here. So we're not gonna produce too much stuff. But that's a problem. The Great Depression happened because we produced too many toasters, too many automobiles, too many Model T Fords, too many, whatever radios, whatever they had back in then, horses. So back in 1929, the Great Depression, 12 years was, the Great Depression lasted for a decade. The overproduction of making too many toasters, I feel like that can never be a problem. How can making too much, if we made too much stuff for the world, but if we made too much stuff for ourselves, okay, but there's millions, there's a whole world of markets out there. So we got, everybody's got toasters, and then they produced another 1,000 toasters. Well, there's two things you could do. You could give it to charity. Now everybody can enjoy their goddamn toast, right? You can put some butter on your toast. You can go ahead and put some jelly on your toast. So the overproduction of durable goods, I can understand how that, in the long term, in a small, just microcosm, just American market, yeah, you produce too many washing machines. But you're telling me that Mexico and Guatemala and Bolivia, you tell me that everybody in the entire world has all the washing machines that they need. So one thing, you could find new markets, right, overseas. And the other thing is you could give it to charity, write it off as a tax break, and now everybody can enjoy, the fruit and blessings of the American capitalist system. We produced a bunch of shit. It was too much. Okay, well, sell it for half price overseas. Give, the rest of it to charity, to the poor people. Now we all can have a better, standard of living and don't produce so much shit next time. Learn your lessons. So it just doesn't seem like having too much oil, having too many washing machines, having too many toasters. I don't see how that's a problem. That's actually like macroeconomics 101. Higher GDP, the more production, the better everything is. The better all standard of living, wages, everything is better. So have a high GDP. That's Adam Smith 101 right there. So Yeah, I just, we've imported, we've produced too much goddamn oil, and then the coronavirus shutdown, combine that, right, the great lockdown of 2020, there's no demand. There's no demand for gasoline or crude oil all over the world. There's also a Saudi Arabian-Russia oil price war that's been going on for about a month. Saudi Arabia is punishing Russia for its refusal to cut its oil production in order to keep oil prices at a moderate level. So, this is, since the great lockdown's decrease in demand. So, Saudi Arabia, OPEC, I guess the king of OPEC, is sitting there telling Russia, you got to stop your oil production, which is kind of fucked up to tell a nation to cut its oil production. Why? So we can all make good money on oil. So this reminds me of, the Okies and the, whatever that one book is where they, Tom Joad and, the Joads and the Okies and the Dust Bowl, and they lost and they went out to California, right? Not the Great Gatsby, but the grapes of wrath. So the grapes of wrath, whatever that is supposed to mean. So the grapes of wrath, in that book, they produced too much fucking vegetables and fruits and shit, and even though you had all these starving, unemployed people, instead of giving them food and the stuff that they need to live, the capitalists rather fucking dump all the food and waste the food to keep prices up. If you start passing it out for free, you're not going to make any money. Yeah, you'd still make some money. You'd make how much, the demand, and so whatever, that's ridiculous. Hotels do shit like that too. Churches, a lot of things. It's like, you charge $100 per room. What about, if you have no customers? Would you charge it half price? Nope. We're going to stick to, just getting the rich people to come in here and giving why would you do that? That's not smart business. So, that we're capitalists, so we should, learn to sort of haggle prices anyways. So, yeah, Saudi Arabia and Russia, they're dropping, Russia's producing more oil, and that's cutting oil, costs down. Saudi Arabia's like, well, fuck you, Russia. We're going to sell our oil for even lower than yours, and we'll, try to take you out. So the Russia and the OPEC talks have failed. Saudi Arabia dropped their oil prices 65%, then oil across the board dropped, crude oil, Brent oil, U.S. oil. All oil has dropped. Negative 40 negative numbers are going to pay us $40 to take a barrel. I'll take, hey, Donald or, Exxon, whoever the fuck has got these barrels of oil. I will take me, Jonathan, me, just a humble, lowly citizen, a peasant. I will help. And I will take, as many barrels of oil as you want me to take. So, yeah, oil all across the board has dropped. The OPEC alliance is over and done with. The OPEC Plus, right, the original 5 members of OPEC. OPEC just stands for the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. This is Iraq, this is Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. So OPEC are those original 5. It was 13 or 14 members with Russia, right, and that's 44% of global oil production, 82% of the world's proven oil reserves. So they give them, almost a monopoly to dictate what the oil prices are all over the world. So apparently I read this article, and I think it's pretty interesting. I've been going on the assumption that the American dollar is free-floating fiat currency. We're just throwing the dollar out there, and it's basically kicking ass with all these other currencies, and it's, it didn't sink, right? It didn't sink, so, good for us that our own dollar is just worth the ink and paper. It's not tied or pegged to gold or silver or to any sort of commodity whatsoever. It's just free-floating fiat. But apparently there was a deal, and so this is kind of free market too in a way, but the petrodollar. So America, the U.S. government's made a deal with the devil, made a deal with Saudi Arabia. So the U.S. dollar for the longest time was the world's medium of exchange, the world's reserve currency. Everybody traded with the U.S. dollar, but people are getting away from that. They're getting, they're running away from that as fast as possible, especially since we're just, quantitative easing, printing up money right now. So we've had a U.S. dollar first economy since Vietnam, since Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. The petrodollar, apparently, the primary reason we invaded Iraq, Saddam Hussein was going to get his oil paid in euros. if they started, paying oil, euros, using euros to buy oil, then the U.S. dollar would crash. Baby Bush, the Iraq War, this is the petrodollar. 2001, Venezuela suggested selling their oil for euros. And guess what happened? Coup d'etat, 2002, Hugo Chavez, CIA, Gaddafi was stockpiling gold reserves rather than U.S. dollar stockpiling gold reserves, talking about developing his own African currency. Well, shit, Obama and Hillary and NATO took him out. So a free floating fiat currency, apparently, this is just, it makes sense, but they're saying that the dollar has a commodity. It is backed by something tangible that actually has intrinsic value, and it's oil. So that commodity is oil, since OPEC and the United States cut a deal in the 1970s. So the deal is, hey, Saudi Arabia, we'll let you genocide the Yemeni people. We'll go ahead and give you our military. You tie the U.S. dollar to your oil. And the only way people buy your oil is with U.S. dollars. So that deal with the devil is the reason why Saudi Arabia gets away with their crimes. We're an oil-based economy. It's not just America. It's Canada and Norway and Brazil. Lots of countries, are tied to the oil market. So we actually had a commodity. That makes me feel better. So I'm learning more and more about the American financial industry. If the American people actually understood their own financial system, there'd be a revolution by morning. This kind of shit, the jargon and the chicanery by these goddamn global, banker, bastards. So, paper money. So, American dollar isn't just fiat. It's not just free floating currency. It was actually backed by oil, because of that deal with OPEC in the U.S. in the 1970s. So a commodity-backed currency is way better than a fiat, backed currency. I just found out, and now oil has crashed. So shit, we were backed by a commodity, but that commodity has crashed. So that means the U.S. dollar is going to crash too. That means gold is going to become, the gold has been the gold standard for gold, right? So that's why everybody says gold standard for shit. Because for 2,000, 3,000 years, gold has always been the medium of exchange. But just because it's a pretty rock, it's a pretty, rock, it's industrial use, I would think it's limited. It's not, the value of gold and silver is in its use as money, not in its industrial use, even if there are industrial uses for them. But I heard silver, something about, laptops use silver, I don't know. But commodity-backed currency is better than the fiat-backed currency. If I had two pieces of paper and I said, this piece of paper is just a piece of paper and, give me, your actual stuff or goods or services. And then this piece of paper, you get, one piece of gold. You get one piece of marijuana. You get one piece of cheese, whatever the fuck it is. If it's backed by a commodity, it's pegged to cheese, that makes it better than just being a piece of paper. You give me this piece of paper back, I got to give you, here's your cheese. And that's, that's better. That makes the currency stronger. If I was to start a brand new currency, I would have it backed by everything. Have it backed by the U.S. dollar, by gold, by silver, by land. Just have it backed by a bunch of shit. It's pegged to these things. This dollar's pegged to these things until that, dollar became its own thing, but, became its own Bitcoin. Or Cannabis coin. So Cannabis coin, Bitcoin I don't think is a commodity backed. It's just based on, Bitcoin is worth whatever you think it's worth. One Cannabis coin is tied to 1 gram of cannabis. So I think they got the right beginning model to what we need to do, because right now the U.S. dollar is tied to a dwindling resource. Oil is finite. And even if you could say for the next 50 years we're going to have oil, so we'll be fine for oil, in 50 years we're going to have to, back the U.S. dollar with different commodities. So, yeah, that the U.S. dollar, the U.S. greenback, the Federal Reserve note, those debt notes, those bank notes printed up by the Treasury at the discretion of the Federal Reserve System. And we were backed by oil. We were backed by oil. Now that it's totally crashed. Now the market has changed, so we're all just going to have to sort of evolve and, become better people. It wasn't truly free-floating fiat currency. It was backed by the oil market, and you have, like I said, a whole bunch of countries. The petro-states, Russia is a petro-state, America, Brazil's a, Petrogras is their petro-states, Canada, Norway. All these countries exist on oil markets. So oil is bad because it's, pollution and all that shit, but oil also keeps, the cars running and the lights on. So it gives us energy. And that's why, we're addicted to oil, right? We are addicted to oil. So since we're addicted to oil, then just put the barrels on our front lawns. Just put the barrels in our basement. Just give us our oil. Jesus Christ, how can we have too much oil? I'm going to have to go, pay for gas every goddamn week. It'd be nice to have a nice barrel. Just have my own gasoline tank right here. And that way I can, maybe go to the gas station every once in a blue moon. That'd be nice. Just cut out the gas stations and just deliver me just straight, to the American people. Everybody gets a gasoline tank, and then you get, cheap gasoline delivered to you. That's the business model. That's the new business model that, a oil company who can evolve and say, okay, the ebb and flow of the market, I'm a capitalist. I'll just keep on fighting. I ain't going to, back down because what? Oh, please, government, bail me out. Nah, fuck that shit. So the oil futures market, there's corn futures, oil futures, land futures, the oil futures market, they set up a contract for future oil sales in a month or year or so, but they don't actually want the damn oil. They didn't want the oil, so how much is oil they'll use the front month? How much are they going to sell for April? How much are they going to sell for May? How much are they going to sell for June? That's the price of oil for what the contracts for the oil sales are going to be for the next month. So, yeah, that's, the futures markets, Wall Street bankers, they're not going to fucking keep the oil. Where they're going to keep it in Wall Street in their banker building and shit in their bank vault. They don't have space. They don't have storage. So invest in space and invest in storage because just, being a place to store, if you're an oil company and you got places to store your oil, you can buy all of it for fucking, nothing. They're giving you $40 to take it off their hands. So you could just, get it and make money by getting it and make money later on by, refining it and selling it like, normal fucking people would do. So, yeah, the U.S. dollar being tied to a dwindling resource, we got to find a different commodity to back it. I think Cannabis Coin's got the right idea. $1 tied to a gram of cannabis for the rest of our lives. Tying it to cotton. Cotton prices was one of the reasons for the 1837 depression. When cotton prices dropped, so tying it to marijuana could do that, if the marijuana crops went down. But we're so good with technology and greenhouses and shit. If it crashed in one country, it wouldn't crash in another country unless it was just a devastating global warming year, right? Just destroying all crops. So maybe cannabis isn't great, but I see cannabis, as long as people are here on Earth, we can continue to grow. As long as the sun is shining and humans are on Earth, we can continue to grow cannabis, and therefore the U.S. dollar would be strong. It would be better than tying it to nothing or having the assumption that it's tied to oil and the petrodollar and all this other shit, right? So, yeah, the oil futures market is crashing, so we got too much oil coming into America. They'll pay you, America, $40 per barrel of oil if you take it off their hands. You don't have contracts. It's to the oil companies that have distribution contracts. So even when this shit's happening, we can buy, Exxon Mobil stocks. All the oil company stocks are going to crash now. So wait for the oil stocks to bottom out and then buy them. This is good for America for two reasons. For the American people, because it's going to be cheap gas prices. We probably could get gas for 25 cents a gallon instead of 99 cents a gallon. But it's also good for investors. So the American public can invest because now it's going to be dirt fucking cheap. Exxon's about to die, right? So if you could buy, some share for $1, if Exxon pulls out, then that dollar could, multiply throughout the years. You're supposed to buy low, buy when they bottom out. So wait for all the oil companies to go bankrupt and for them to freak out. And there's only 3, oil companies left. And they're, near bankruptcy. That's when you buy. When they bottom out, and then they'll go up, and then everything will be fine and dandy, and you'll make a bunch of money. Let's be good capitalists, right? They need us, the American people. The capitalists are always fucking us over, so we need to capitalize on this moment. Never waste a good crisis. And then what Rahm Emanuel said: never waste a good crisis. So who could sell, barrels of oil for $1 a barrel, right? So you have all these nations. You got, Russia, America, Brazil, Canada, Norway. We're all dependent on the oil markets. This is alarming. They were playing with fire, but, it's not all coming crashing down right now. So don't get, don't panic yet. Don't pull your money out of the banks and stuff them under. You actually should have done that yesterday. Pull all your money out of the banks and, shove it underneath of your mattresses, the U.S. dollar, right? Yeah, get as many U.S. dollars as possible because there's not enough U.S. dollars for all the money that they say is out there. So, yeah, make sure you store, stock up on your U.S. dollars, stock up on food, water, supplies, gold and silver, and your barrels of oil. Make sure you stock up on your barrels of oil. So anyway, what's the fallout? What's going to happen with all this? Well, Saudi Arabia is going to win, okay? Saudi Arabia is going to win. They're going to choke the world's oil markets to death because they can get away with selling a barrel of oil for $1 a barrel and they'll be fine. They'll be good. Deal with the devil where Saudi Arabia uses our military power and weapons to genocide Yemen. They agree to accept U.S. dollars for their oil. So that's the global oil standard. So not a gold standard, there's an oil standard. But now oil is crashing. So fuck what's the standard now? If the American people fully understood their financial system, there would be revolution by morning. So what needs to happen? A couple things. Gas prices should go near zero quarter, like I said. $1 a gallon, that's like the 1990s. Swimming pools won't really work. Bathtubs aren't big enough, so I think we need to build up our oil storage facilities in our front yards. Let's fight this like the true grit Americans we are. So we got too much oil. That's not a problem. Having too much fucking oil, how's that a fucking problem? Maybe I'm old school, or maybe I'm postmodern, new school. You got too many toasters, you give them the charity, or you find new markets, and now everybody's got some goddamn toast. You can butter and jelly some toast. So, yeah, you make sure you do it, on the right side. All this shit could turn into Fury Road, Mad Max kind of future. So gasoline is a precious commodity. You thinking oil, doesn't have intrinsic value? It still has intrinsic value. That gallon, there's 42 gallons, that barrel of oil will still be put to use. Not for now, but for later. So it'd be a good economic investment for anybody to take a goddamn barrel of oil. Oil companies shouldn't charge anybody to pick those barrels up, right, and then, just find storage places. So instead of passing out $1,200 stimulus checks, pass out these barrels of oil. I told you I'd take a barrel of oil or two or 100, and I would charge you less than $40. I'd charge you $20. I'd take it, I'd take it for free. There you go, Wall Street. What do you think about that? Come to Jonathan Masters' house, and I'll give you, I'll take your barrel of oil. I'll take your trash for nothing. I'll take your garbage for nothing. Come on, America, let's do this. Remember like in Dunkirk, the motherfucking Nazis had our boys caught in a corner. Right, the motherfucking Nazis almost wiped out all the goddamn British troops. But they overextended themselves. They couldn't finish, so you know what? Fuck that. Fuck that, little Joey, little Billy. Let's go get the dinghy. Our country is calling for us. We're going to go save our boys in Dunkirk. So what kind of motherfucking capitalist are we Americans? I guess the motherfucking bank didn't think about where to store all those assets are buying up right now as we speak. Now you need us. Now you need us now. Okay, so we got you in a bind. That's good for the American people. It's good for the prices. It's good for our investment now. Poor people could actually invest in Exxon. If Exxon is even to be saved. Exxon, BP, or any of these, hell, I like Venezuela. What's that? Citgo. I like Citgo. I'll back Citgo all day long. That's an oil company I don't mind saving. BP and Exxon, fuck them. Let them sink. So it's on us to capitalize. It's on us, we the people, to capitalize on Wall Street's bullshit. Never waste a good crisis. That's Rahm Emanuel. That's politics 101. So, yeah, this oil thing, the unemployment rate scares me about the Great Depression. The oil thing doesn't. The oil thing is good for us. We have too much fucking oil. That's a good thing for me and our country. We have plenty of oil, plenty of gas, cheap prices. We'll be doing fine. Who's, the oil producers, oil companies, all boo fucking who. Why don't y'all just take a back seat for a year or two? They've been making record profits for, goddamn decades. And hell, let them die and start a People's, corporation and a People's Oil Corporation and get gasoline down to $0.25 a gallon. I would trust the People's Corporation, and then the profits go into the, U.S. Treasury. So we're actually making, we're actually working